Thank you for putting your trust in Kiko with your purchase of our award-winning glue pull repair system. Your investment in glue pull repair technology will help your shop produce less invasive repairs and higher quality results. Thank you for letting us be a part of your journey, and we can't wait to see how Kiko helps you take your shop to the next level. If you're watching this video, you've recently purchased Kiko's L2E or our new L2E Premium system. What we're going to do in this video is walk through the assembly of the entire system and help you have a better experience. What we're going to do first is we're going to start with our GPR cart. That's the base of the system, so let's get started. Now, a couple things to note when we're starting with the assembly of our cart is the bottom tray is easy to identify. It's got holes in it for our casters. So I'm going to actually use that to support the sidewalls while I start to put some screws in. The top tray is easy to identify because it's got glue pull repair written on the top of it. So that leaves our middle tray. It's easy to identify as well. So I'm going to start by running a couple screws in here by hand. Please note that you don't want to tighten up these screws yet. We want to get this all the screws put in, keep them loose, and then we're going to tighten them up when we can square up our assembly. Now you notice my sidewall is helping support my assembly while I'm putting it together. I'm going to go ahead and start working up, put my next shelf in just on this side, keeping it loose again, keeping the screws loose enough so things can shift while I align all these screws into each of these inserts. Something to note with my top shelf is I'm going to put my screws in the front towards the writing that you can see here, but I'm not going to put screws in the back edge yet, and that's because we got some support brackets that are going to hold our back panels up. Now if you put those in, not going to hurt anything, you just have to back them out when you go to put your brackets on. Go ahead and put my other side on. Remember, I could have put that on wrong. These holes, that indicates the top of the side panel. So we're going to turn this around, put those to the top. Right here, here, here. So for our next step, we really want a solid flat surface. I'm going to still stay on the cardboard, but I know this is a flat surface. It's going to help me square up my assembly. I'm going to stand it up. That way I can put some screws in the back side. Now note, I know this is the back of my cart, so I'm going to leave the screws out right here. We're going to put some brackets on that'll hold our back panels. Okay, so before tightening up all the screws and squaring this assembly up, we're going to put the brackets on for the rear panel. So with this system, this comes with an extra box for our third panel. It's going to look like this. Now, you may have an assembly that has the panel included in the cart. This one does not, so we're going to unbox this. And the important thing about this is it's got two brackets inside that are going to replace the ones that came with the cart. So as I mentioned, we've got longer brackets that accommodate our third panel. So we're going to discard the others. You can tell very easily by putting them side by side which ones are the longer brackets. So we're going to discard our short ones. All right, we're going to put our vertical brackets on. These brackets are universal. You can't put them on wrong. Either way will go up or down. What you will notice is there's a longer edge versus a shorter edge. The shorter edge goes to the outside of your cart. So, for example, if I'm putting it on this side of the cart, we're going to put the short edge there. You'll notice that the holes line up, and then we'll start our screws. Now, as you know, we've left all our screws loose. Now it's time to start tightening them up. I've got my driver here. One thing that's helps you a little bit with putting this system together is this is going to be a number 3 Phillips bit. It'll help engage these screws a lot better. Now, one thing to note, on this right-hand side of our cart, I know I'm going to put my tool holders here, so I'm going to leave these 2 screws loose here. I'm also going to leave these 2 loose. We're going to back those out and put our tool holders on. All right, now we're ready to put on our back panels. I'm going to start with the bottom and work up to the top. You'll find a couple bags in with your third panel box that we talked about, as well as the cart itself. And these are the sheet metal screws that you'll see with the round Phillips head. I'm going to switch back to my bit of a regular number 2 bit to drive these in. So I'm going to grab my bottom panel first. So as I mentioned, I'm going to start with the bottom panel first. It's important to note that the 2 bottom panels, there's 2 of them, they're identical. You can put either one on first. The only important one is the one with the logo that goes to the top because it doesn't have holes at the top. All right, now that we've laid our cart down, it's time to put on our casters. With this system, we get 4 casters, 2 of them are fixed and 2 of them are swivel. Now, looking at the front of the cart, we want our swivel casters to be on the right-hand side of our cart. Additionally, you need to locate the 2 brackets that support the casters in the bottom of our system. Now, with these support brackets, as we go to put them in, they're going to rest on the inside edge of this tray with the shorter side snug up against that tray. Now, additionally with these support brackets, we're going to receive some longer carriage bolts. Find that poly bag, make sure you have those, and we'll go ahead and install these. Now, to get this in, the easier way to do it is to put it in at an angle in this bottom tray and then let it set right down inside. Now we're going to start on our swivels caster side. Get some of my longer bolts out here. Start from the inside, go right through the bracket hole and through the bottom of the cart. Line those up and start one of your nuts. Now I'm going to leave these loose until I get ready to tighten them all up at once. So I'm going to go ahead and get my other bracket and put it on. It is also important to note that the carriage bolt with this square flange on it needs to go through the square part of the hole on the inside. All right, we're going to use a 12 millimeter and go ahead and tighten up all these. All right, now that we've got our casters securely on, we're gonna stand up our cart. One thing that's very helpful is if you'll lock these swivel casters so that it doesn't move on you when you're standing it up. All right, at this point we're ready to put on our tool holders. Two different ones. There's one with 3 holes in it, and then the other shapes that you see here. We're gonna go ahead and put the 3 holes on the middle down here, and then the top one obviously at the top here. Now, to do this, you remember we left some screws loose on the side of here. We're going to back those out first and use those to hold on the tool holders. I'm going to start with my bottom tool holder. The lip goes up. That's kind of a nice little lip for catching glue. All right, our next step is we're going to put on our locking top. Now you'll find the boxes for the locking top. There's 3 different cartons. You've got the tube, which is going to be our shadow board, and we're going to put that on first. And then you've got the hinge door, that goes on last. And then here is the 2 sides that we're going to put on when we start the assembly. It always helps if you have a couple people to put this on, but I'm going to go ahead and put it on by myself. I always like to start at the bottom. Line up the bottom edge to the top tray of the cart and then work my way up. All right, now that we've got our shadow board on, we're going to go ahead and put on our locking top. Now, we can pick either side. It doesn't matter which one you start with. The reason we have our shadow board on here first is because the top edge of our locking top captures it and comes down on top of it. So when you come across, you're going to slide that top edge right up here. It's going to go in front of the shadow board. And then on the inside, you're going to get that lip to drop down right in front, and it'll set just like that. Now that we've got our sidewall setting on there, we're going to go ahead and run some screws in. The first screw I'm going to put in is up on this top edge, and there's 2 larger screws that come with your system. And we're going to start with one of those at the top. That's the longer screw and a little bit bigger. And so what's really important on this sidewall is to push in and apply as much pressure as you can before you install it. The reason being is our locking top, it needs to be snug when that top door comes down inside the assembly. Next screw I'm going to put in is in the front. That'll capture and make everything square for me. You'll notice that there's no pilot holes in these flanges, but these nice little sharp screws will run right into that edge. Now we're ready to put on our hinge top. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually grab the gas shocks that go with it to help with my assembly. All right, the nice thing about these shocks is they're universal, so it doesn't matter which side you're starting on. I'm going to start first by installing the base to the side. So we're going to run 3 screws in here, and that'll help us assist in holding on the top. Now we're ready to put on our hinge top. Like I said before, it's a lot easier if you have 2 people doing this. I'm going to show you how it can be done with 1 person. There's some washers that came in your kit with your system. We're going to go ahead and put those on these pins. That's going to take up some of the slack so that this top operates really nice for you. All right, if you purchased a standard L2E, and now that we've got the handle on the side of our locking top, you are done with this part of the setup. Your only next steps are you're going to get all the tools out, you're going to populate your tab prints, and put all the tools on the backboard. All right, now we're getting ready to install our drawers in our system. However, if you've purchased an L2E Premium without the K-Locker, now's a good time to install your tab strap tool holders. It's actually a really important time because what's going to happen is the brackets that hold your drawers in are going to block where you're going to put the bolts that hold these on. Now, you're probably wondering, what do these tab strap tool holders do? They hold our Quick Stick, our K-Power, and our K-Power Junior. Now, if you've purchased the K-Locker, we're just going to skip this next part and move right on to installing our drawers. All right, now, if you purchase an L2E Premium, we're going to continue with our setup here, and we're going to install our drawers. And then if you also got the K-Locker with it, we're going to put the K-Locker on here in a little bit as well. All right, now our next step is to install our drawers. And this is important because if you have a K-Locker, you need to install the drawers and the brackets first. All right, now that we've got our drawers unboxed, I just want to talk a little bit about some of the components you're going to get. You're going to get 2 of these side brackets. This is what the drawer slides are going to mount to. They're going to go inside our cart. We'll show you that in a second. The offset you see here is going to go to the front of the cart. They are marked right and left, so that makes it a little bit easier. Additionally, we're going to have 4 sets of slides, and that's for our 2 drawers. One for the left side, one for the right side. The larger slides you see go and get mounted to the side panels, and then the smaller ones we're going to mount straight to the drawers. Now, it is possible that your drawers came assembled with the slides already, so if you got that, that makes it a little bit nicer. Now, if you find yourself having a little bit of trouble getting these tabs to start in that back part of the bracket, and this front, you can take a strong flat blade like this and just pry them out just a hair to give you a little bit more play to get them started. So once we set that back piece in, we're just going to tap the front a little bit, get it set in there, push it back. That front tab is going to line up, and then it snaps on down. All right, another tip, if you're having trouble getting these to snap down, you can take a larger screwdriver like this, lay it on top of your slide, and just tap it down with your mallet. Now it's time to put the slides on the side of our drawer so we can install our drawers. You'll notice that the slides are all universal, as I mentioned before. The plastic piece on the back side of here is our soft close feature, and that's going to go towards the back of your drawer. I've turned my drawer over so it's on a face, on a soft surface, so I can tap on it with the mallet. If you take your hand, hold the slide onto the side of the drawer, you can actually see the edge of the drawer through those openings, and that'll help you see that you're getting engagement when you start to tap. And as you can see right here, you've got engagement in that drawer. All right, now it's time to install our drawers. Something that makes it a little bit easier is we're going to pull these slides out just so you can give yourself a good guide as you're starting these drawers in. And one thing we do is we push all the way back. That engages our soft close, and open it up and back and forth a couple times, and it should work real good for us. All right, now it's time to put on our K-locker. Now this part of the video will work whether you're building your system from scratch or if you've bought a K-locker after the fact. What we're going to do is we're going to start backing out some of these screws that you can see here. All right, one of the first steps here is we're going to put on our tool pan on the bottom. Now those two bottom screws for our cart, we're just going to back those out. Those hold on the tool pan. One thing to note is we have a logo on this pan. That logo goes towards the inside. It's always easy just to put one screw inside there, put your screwdriver through, and start that screw in the hole. And then get your other one started. Now to help us with holding the K-locker on the side of the system while we run some screws in, we got a little trick for you. We're going to take some of the spacers out of our tab strap tool holder kit with the longer screws, and we're going to put those in these two hole locations right here. We're going to back these screws out, and they'll serve as a guide and support the K-locker while we run some of the other longer screws in. Now that I've got a couple screws installed, I've not got them tightened in yet. What I want to do is I'm going to back these out, our spacers that we put in there, and then align the top a little bit more. You can see I was not quite aligned yet. Once we do that, we'll start snugging up our screws. Now that I've put in my 6mm screws and started them in, I'm going to go ahead and put the 3 screws I took out of the top of the side of the cart here. All right, now that we've got the K-locker fairly secure, we're going to put in the rest of the screws. There are 8 self-tapping screws that came with your system, and they're going to go in these locations that you can see easily identified by the half-moon scallop in the edge and this flange of your K-locker. All right, now that we've got our K-locker secure on the side of our cart, the next step is we're going to put our tab strap tool holders on. This is going to hold our quick stick, our K-Power, and our K-Power Junior. You'll notice that there's already some pilot holes in the side of the K-locker that we're going to have to run a 3/16" drill bit through into the side of our locking top. That'll allow us to mount those tool holders. All right, locate your tab strap tool holders. We're going to go ahead and put those on the side of the locker. You've got the spacers that are going to go in between the tool holder and the side of the locker. The nice thing about the hole we just drilled is it's tight enough tolerance that we can run these screws right into the side of it, and then we can put the nuts on the back side. Now, one thing to note is this lever, we put it towards the front of the system. Makes it a little bit easier just when you're dealing with the tools and releasing them. To tighten up the nuts, we've got an 8mm open end wrench. I'm just going to put those on the back side of it while we run them in. Snug them up. Now that we've got the structure all built, K-lockers on, we've got our quick stick and our K-powers in it, now it's time to start populating all the tools and tabs in our system. First thing we're going to do is we're going to install our tab prints organizers. You've got a larger one here that goes in the top tray. That's going to hold some hammers and all of our tab tracks adapters and some other knockdown tools. Then we've got our first drawer, our top drawer if you will, tab prints, and that's going to hold an array of tabs. We'll populate that second. And then our third drawer in the bottom is going to hold all of our K-Power accessories for all of our lateral tension. All right, now that you can see we populated all our tools and tabs, what a great looking system. The next thing to do is we're going to build the light. That's one of the most important things so that we can see what we're preparing.
You're going to notice that there is longer screws in one of the boxes or one of the packs. The longer screws go into the back, the shorter ones go into the legs. Okay, so the bottom, you see here with two knobs, that goes to the bottom of the base. Okay, so when installing your post, make sure both your knobs, one is facing forward, the other one off to the side. That way you have a lot of clearance when placing your battery. And then we're going to install our riser into the base, slide back on our pin, slide our knob back on and install it. See here. That's a push pin in it. Push your pin in and slide it in. Now your light has been installed.
All right, well that's it. I hope this video has helped you out and gave you a clean, easy experience in putting together your system. Again, thank you for putting your trust in Kiko. And if you have any problems or any questions, you just give us a call. We're always there to help. Thank you.